Happy, joy, happy, joy. Welcome to Mars Mindset on a Thursday evening. Shout out to Steph. I am Jakisi. Am I saying that right? Red Shoe 1234, Zelda Grant, Tiffany 86, Vickers 4 joined the chat. And today we are discussing happiness. Whose job is it anyway? Is it my job to make you happy? Because if it is, I'm about 11 minutes late. So you might not be happy with me. Is it your job to make you happy? Is it your dog's job to make you happy? Whose job is it to make you happy? Whose job is it to make me happy? Is it my job to make me happy? What is the benefit of having someone that makes you happy? What are the pros and cons of having someone who perpetually tries to make you happy? Just some things that we could chop it up about today on the Mars Mindset. So I got the screen recording going. I'm gonna wave to everybody who's coming into the room, and then I'm gonna pull somebody in here off the rip, and we're gonna start having this conversation. Because I saw a couple people in the chat said that it's an inside job. But I don't think we always conduct ourselves that way. I think a lot of times we look for things outside of ourselves to make us happy, whether that's other people, materialistic things. Food does make me happy. Maybe we should leave food out of it, because I like some food. They say I'm picky, but I eat. Anyway, who's first up on Mars? We got 12 people in here on the rip. I must be doing a good job. Let's see who we got. Let's roll the dice. You know what? Let me see. Let's get it on in Poppington. All right, you up? We'll let it be a surprise to whoever wants to be surprised. Oh gosh, you're in the car. Why is everybody always in the car on my show?
I'm never in the car. This day is my first day.
I know, but geez, anyway. Hi, Janet.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. I'm on my way home.
Okay. Does going home make you happy?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It's my one place where I can be unapologetically myself. So yes.
So
okay. Let's have this conversation.
Why can't you be unapologetically yourself out in the world?
I'm a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a lot for people. I am loud. I don't know. I just get to do what I want to do in my own space. So
what aspect of your personality are you suppressing? I'm reading this new book called Letting Go, and it talks about suppression and repression. And suppression is the conscious burying of something. So why are you burying certain aspects? Why are you burying your loudness? What negative blowback comes from being you?
I mean, we starting early today.
Oh, I dig deep, man. I'm telling you.
I know.
Hey, you right on in there. Rabbit hole.
So I don't. When I meet people, I mean, I'm reserved at first. That's just who I normally am. I don't reveal a lot about myself. I don't tell people immediately what I got going. Like, you keep certain things to yourself. Just because you don't know a person. But I don't really know how to explain it. At home, you just be yourself. And then when you out, you can't just be this. I can't just be this loud person and with the rah-rah and get to talk the way that I want to talk. Like, especially not at work. Like, we all know, like, you can't do that at work. But I have been told that I have a huge personality, so I try to not give away too much.
Somebody said, I'm assuming they know you. They said not 20 years ago. So apparently 20 years ago,
Who?
you
Who? People don't know me.
Christian Nord 1982 said not 20 years ago.
Oh, that's my best friend. Hi.
Go best friend. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. Best friends make you happy.
That's my best friend. My longest best friend. Yes. And
all right, so let's.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
She needs to not reveal stuff about me from 20 years ago.
She do what from 20? She said she what now?
She should not be revealing stuff years ago. It's a whole lot of people.
Oh, you breaking up. See? Shoot, man. Let me see if I can stabilize this thing. Save myself some editing. Dream, I need you in here. All right, cool.
What's good? My signal might go out because I'm driving, but hopefully it'll do good.
Everybody's in the car.
Yeah, man. I got my youngest with me.
Peace, little king. We'll bring Janet
What
back in.
What I missed? What's going on? What I missed?
So me and Janet, we really hadn't dug into the conversation yet. But the conversation today is on happiness. Whose job is it? And I was getting ready to ask her. She was expressing that she was on her way home and she's happy to be going home because when she gets home, she can be her unapologetically Janet self. And I was asking her, why can't you be yourself out in the world? And she was saying because she's loud, she has a big personality, and all of those things. And I had kind of 2 points I was going to get at. I'm sure she'll come back. I was going to say, one, sometimes the things that we think aren't attractive about our personality are our superpowers, right? And two, I was going to get into asking her about her expectations for her husband to make or help her maintain her happiness. So that's where I was kind of going. I think okay, somebody else trying to get in. Okay, so give me 1 second. And
right.
And we'll kind of, because you're in the car too. So if I could get somebody else and they're not and it's stable, it saves me in the edit. Okay. Hello?
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Nice to see you.
Several hours. 9 p.m. We're down to 50.
Is that the TV?
I turned it down.
Okay. I appreciate you. So when Dream comes back on, we'll ask him something. So whose job is it to make you happy?
It's my job to make me happy.
Okay.
It's no one else's responsibility to make me happy because I'm in control of my happiness. So others can help add to it, but ultimately I'm responsible for my happiness.
Okay, so what do you do to make you happy?
Sometimes I spend time with others that I know are enjoyable to be around. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, I'm a homebody for real. Like I like to be by myself. Like I do arts and crafts. I'm creative. I do different things that show my creativity. So I like that. But back to the Janet lady, I could feel what she was saying when she said that she can't be unapologetic. You know the word. But I feel like in some sense, I feel the same way myself because people haven't said that I have a strong personality. Some people said I had an abrasive personality. Like they can't handle because I'm honest. I say things that come to my mind and I'll say it out of my mouth and I don't be done thought about it first as to the way that it may come across. Not to say that I maliciously try and hurt a person's feelings, but when I was younger, I didn't think before I spoke when I was younger. So some people can't handle your honesty when you say things, like they get offended. So for her, she probably felt the same way, like, oh, I have to kind of monitor what I say to folks because they can't handle what's going to come out my mouth.
Okay.
So I understood what she was saying.
Okay, Dream, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Dream, are you typically a happy person?
I am typically a happy person.
Okay. How much of your happiness do you expect Tiff to help you maintain, if any?
I'll say 50-50 now. Half on me, and since she knows the stuff that makes me happy, she has to go in and contribute to that, so we continue to make each other happy as well.
Okay, so you're talking about reciprocal.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. What's your name? What's your name? I saw your screen name. What's your name?
Roseanne.
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 Roseanne. Okay, Miss Roseanne. Are you married?
Yes.
Okay. How much is your spouse responsible for your happiness in any capacity?
I mean, maybe 25% or less. He got his window down. I can't hear.
Hey, mute your mic right quick, Dre. All right. I said, okay, so you saying he's responsible for 25%. What
Maybe or less.
or less?
Like he don't have to be like, you know, you and your spouse, you go out, you do things together, you have a nice time, but that's fine. He don't have to do those things because I'm happy within myself. It's enjoyable when we can go out and do things together, like, because he works a lot. So it's enjoyable when we can go out and do things together, but I don't solely look to him to be my happiness
So if he
because
didn't,
I'm complete within myself.
yeah, I feel you. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
Mm.
Actually, I think happiness is fleeting. I seek more so peace, right? I think happiness and sadness are things that are going to come and go throughout your day, throughout your life. But I'd rather be at peace through the up and down. So when the downs come, I'm still okay, as opposed
Right,
to, trying to force the happiness.
right.
What I'm trying to figure out is, I think that as men, a lot of our self-identity is tied to our woman's happiness. Yeah,
You mean like happy? You mean like happy wife, happy life? Is that what you mean?
no, not I don't subscribe to that, but I
I
do,
don't either.
right? But I do subscribe to the idea that when my wife is unhappy, it it bothers me, right?
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
if my wife is unhappy and I don't know why, one of the main things I want to know is, are you mad at me?
Okay.
Right? And I'm just being honest. Like, hey, you good?
I can understand that. My husband, if it's something going on with me, and he had asked me like 3 times, like, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And like the first 2 times, I tell him nothing. It might be been something that he done that I'm just trying to let myself
So,
work over.
so do you
So
say
I don't
nothing
tell
or I'm
him.
fine?
So I don't tell him. I'm like, I'm good. Because maybe it's just I need to get over it and internally for myself before he keep pushing. But if he keeps pushing after I've told him twice that I'm okay and he keeps on, then I'm going to give it to him. But then don't get mad that I gave you what you asked me for because I told you I was cool 2 times before
But
because I'm trying to work through stuff on my own.
you were lying. You were lying about being okay.
No, because sometimes you have to work through things on your own. You can't just automatically jump on something. You got to work through things on your own. You need some time and a little space sometime to
I
work on your own stuff.
I understand that. I'm not giving you any
Right.
pushback. What I'm saying is if as a man, right, as a husband, if I ask my wife what's wrong and she say nothing 2 times and I know she lying, what you just said should have been your answer. I am bothered by something right now. I'm not really ready to express it verbally. Actually, I'm trying to work through it within myself because I might be feeling kind of petty about it or whatever. And I'd appreciate it if you just gave me the mental and emotional space to do that instead of telling me I'm fine. Because we had this conversation a couple of days ago. It was like, yo, that's not how this works. Why do y'all do that? Hey, Dream, what you think, yo?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Just say what you mean. If you need space, say, hey, I need a couple minutes, a couple hours to go ahead and get myself together. when we think we might do something wrong or we want to fix the problem, because generally men are fixers, we want to fix the situation. And if you say I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, your whole body language and your aura is not fine. We're trying to figure out what is going on with you. So I love that you say that you take the time and not just hop right on there and give it to them, but say, hey, just give me some time. I have a code word, bananas, pine, whatever you want to do. Let them know that, hey, I need some time to myself. That way he knows that you're going to come back and we're going to have a good conversation, so he can help fix whatever's going on with you.
He might be the problem. No,
But that's okay though. But
I'm just playing.
I think what
I'm
irritates
just playing.
I think what irritates men is like the same thing that irritates women is like, I know you lying. So it's like, stop lying to me. Now, I get it, because if you say if you say something is bothering me, then that is gonna kind of make me want to be like, well, what's bothering you? Let's talk about it. And that's really what you're avoiding.
But see, no, sometimes what I'm avoiding confrontation. Because I don't want to have to argue, because he had turned it into an argument. And I don't want it to be an argument. So if I could just let things roll, to slide for a second till I get myself to a place where I can talk to you calmly about the situation, then it hopefully won't be no blowback. But see, when you keep on asking me, and I done already, like, if I ain't told you off the rip something wrong, that means leave me alone, because I'm not ready. And he knows I'm not ready. Because if he asks me about something, say I'm not feeling well, and he asks me, oh, what's the matter? Oh, babe, I got a bad headache, or right away, something minor. But if it's a little more severe, like, leave me alone. I don't want to go through 20 words to communicate to him that I'm not ready to talk about the situation. Like, I just want to let it go.
And can I ask, how long were y'all together?
Are together?
Yes.
Still?
Yes.
33 years.
Okay, that's wonderful. So you're saying that he should know how you are and when to step
Yes.
back.
And when to just slide back and don't keep pushing it. Because you keep pushing it, you about to get what you really didn't want. Because if I wanted you to have it, I would have told you from the get-go. You got to let me have my space.
But in those 33 years, if that was not communicated, he keep doing the same thing over and over again, right?
That's part of the problem, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'll just keep on. It's like, what is it that you want me to do? Like, I'm the communicator in the house. I'm the communicator. I talk. But sometimes it's like you talk and it go in here and right out.
Hold on. So if
Until something is bothering me. When something is bothering me, then that's when he want to be the communicator. Because he knows when something is bothering me.
Yeah, because his self-identity, a portion of his self-identity is tied to your happiness, right? So all I'm saying, actually, I agree with like 99% of what you're saying, right? The idea that something's bothering you and you're not really ready to talk about it, all of that's cool. What I think is unfair is to know that a big part of what makes me feel like a man and like a good man and a good husband is that you're at least in a state of peace or happiness. So if I ask you what's wrong, if you say I'm fine or nothing, and I know something's wrong with you, I'd rather you be honest with me, right? And just say, hey, I am a little irritated, frustrated, angry, sad, or whatever right now. I'm just not ready to express it. Because at the point when you say I'm fine, my mind automatically goes to, oh shoot.
What did you do now? What did you do now?
Let me fix it. I'm gonna keep pressing. But you could do a lot of damage control by just saying there is something wrong with me. I'm just not ready to talk about it right now. And I know I, as a man, am more willing to accept that than the I'm fine. I said I'm fine.
Exactly. You got to use that extra step, miscommunicator. That extra step to let him know so he can fix the problem. So he know when to back away when you feeling fine or you just okay. But your whole facial expression and your aura is saying no, no, no.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Looking out the other window.
And
And
see,
a tree.
and he knows that's like if I ask him a question and he'll give me an answer that I feel like he lying about. That's all. Okay. hmm
But
And
you,
I leave it there. And he knows that I know he's lying when I be like, oh, okay. hmm Yeah.
all
Or
right.
if we're on the phone and he tells me something and I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Click. He knows I know he's lying. So when he come in, he's trying to, he want to be extra nice, like, cause I know he's lying, but I don't say anything. I don't say nothing, cause I wait, cause I catch him. Time always
You a
reveal
bounty.
everything.
You a bounty. I'm a catch
Huh?
you. You sound like a bounty hunter. He might not.
Right.
No, I
Oh, but
mean, time reveals itself. Everything that's done in the dark come out in the light. Time reveals itself. I ain't got to go nowhere. I ain't
you
got to go a place.
worries.
Hmm?
You ain't got no worries.
Mm-mm.
I did have
God is called, God is called karma.
I did have one more question for you when it comes to happiness. Do you feel like your happiness always happened, or you grew into that over the years from your youth until your age now?
What my happiness depended on me.
Yeah.
I think I felt like that. Mm, maybe after my first bad breakup that I had, and I think I was so busy trying to accommodate the person that I was with to try and make them happy and depended on them to be making me happy till I realized like that's not working. Like I can't make them happy because they're not making me happy. So my happiness need to come from me. It need to depend on me. Like I was young, I didn't know no better. I didn't realize my self-worth. I didn't realize the type of individual that I was and what I could do on my own without somebody else, you know, what word am I looking for? Making me feel like they were solely the person that my happiness depended upon.
Mm, yeah, that's cool. That's good. Well, I like the fact that you are self aware enough to know your happiness comes from within. We appreciate you coming on. I got to get
Thank you, Chels.
All right,
What's your
you say something?
What's his name?
That's Dream.
Hi, Dream. Bye, Dream. Thanks, Chels.
All right, we see you. Take your power back.
You guys have a nice evening.
All right, peace.
Take it easy.
All right, hold on. Somebody, Janet trying to come back in. Now I'm gonna have two of y'all in the car. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see if I can get Janet back in here. Oh,
Oh, she said,
I'm
let me get
back. I'm
myself
home.
straight. She said, let me get my stuff straight.
You see me? I done made it home real quick.
hey, Dream was ready too. She was like,
I was ready this morning when I read the topic. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm ready.
all
Let's
right,
get it."
cool. So I'll throw you a bone. Just
Okay.
go. What is it about the topic? What do you got?
So I agree that happiness solely comes from within. I am not me personally, I'm not, hold on, because my husband is also on the phone. I'm sorry. Um, I'm I'm not making my husband responsible for my happiness. Can y'all hear?
I think so.
Okay. So I do not make my husband responsible for my happiness. I know that if I have a day where I'm not doing okay or where I'm down, I try to do something for myself that I know will maybe lift me up in that moment. But what she was saying about, when her husband asks her, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she keeps on saying, "Well, nothing is wrong." That is correct. She needs to. Well, I'm not saying she's doing anything wrong, but I would communicate that. But my husband is the same way. Just because he does not want to put that burden upon me, that whatever is worrying him to worry me. So I will ask my husband 2 times, like she do, or like her husband do, like, "Hey, what's wrong?" But if you are telling me there's nothing wrong, then I cannot help you to participate in your happiness or to participate in making you come out of that funk, whatever you got going on. That needs to be communicated, absolutely. But I do not depend on my husband to make me happy.
Okay. Well, that's good. So we 2 for 2 with women who understand that their happiness comes from within.
And my husband knows that I am not responsible for his happiness. We've had this communication to where he was gone in Korea, and I told him, I was like, listen, he was not happy in Korea, and I'm like, you need to do things that make you happy. There's not much that I can do from all the way over here because we're not together. So you do have to understand that your own happiness comes from within. Whatever you're not happy with, you need to work on that within. Only you know how to make yourself 100% happy. If you are sad and you're not having a good day, and here comes the acts of service or the love language back into play, the acts of service or the flowers or the gifts or just spending time in the bed. But what if that is not in that moment this little piece that's going to make you happy? What if you are craving a whole slab of ribs? You know what I'm saying? So only you know what is really going to make you happy in that moment. So therefore, happiness comes from within. Damn, I killed it today.
Well,
So, go ahead, Shadowz.
Okay.
you said you got something, Dream?
Oh, go ahead.
Nah, I was just saying you said a lot, so I'm processing. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is kind of the inverted idea, right? Because it's like we're saying happiness comes from within, but I think if we're all honest, outside circumstances can make us unhappy, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So by some universal law, I'm sure if outside things can make us unhappy, then it's possible that we draw a lot of our happiness or some of our happiness from those outside things, right? So does happiness really come from within? And I'm not making a point. I'm literally like working it out in my mind, like right before. And that's why I personally I'm not that attached to the idea of happiness.
Yeah, you said you seek more peace than like it's more of peace for you than happiness.
To me, I'd rather be in a state of peace, meaning I guess if you're religious or into the Bible or something, you would say letting go and letting God, because you know that when you're happy, eventually you're going to be sad, and when you're sad, you're going to eventually be happy. And I mean, being a cop, like I've been on the scenes of suicides, right? And those people probably could have been happier earlier in the day and dejected or at the other end of the day. But had they able to been in a state of stasis or peace, foundational peace, they would have been able to ride those waves. When your husband was in Korea, he wasn't happy. He probably wasn't going to be happy in Korea, but he could be at peace in Korea.
Yeah, but I don't think that he was.
Right. I understand that. I understand, but I guess what I'm saying is okay. I think the perfect example I can give is a funeral, right? Okay. If someone passes, we're not at the funeral happy. We're at the funeral sad, right?
Right.
But we can be at peace.
Absolutely. I just had this conversation with one of my best friends yesterday. He's going through death in his family, and he was telling me that he's sad, like he's constantly going through this sad phase. And I told him, you have to work through the sadness in order for you to heal, which is, do the things that make you happy. You have a motorcycle, get on your bike and try to get, it doesn't even have to involve money or going on a vacation or going to Bora Bora, but it comes from within. It is your responsibility to then go ahead and find your happiness and to work through that grief.
Dream, what you got?
Yeah, I was gonna say happiness can bring peace, and peace can bring your happiness.
Yes.
I think it does come from within, but it comes from what you enjoy, what can bring you happiness, whether it's taking walks, whether it's riding, whether it's singing, whether it's rapping, whether it's music, whether like me playing poker. That stuff brings me happiness and peace. And no matter what goes on in your life, if you do those those things that make you happy, it can bring you peace as well.
Yes. I
So
agree with
even
that
with
100%.
your husband being in, when he was in Korea, or if I'm was out the country, you have to figure, okay, what can I do to make myself happy in this
Mhm.
state of not being happy and or not having peace because I really don't want to be here. So you can
Mhm.
make yourself miserable for the whole year or
Mhm.
2 years he was there. Well, what can you do to find yourself happiness within that time? It could be
Mhm.
calling you every day. It could be
Yeah.
writing you letters. You know, it could be other
Right.
things to find that happiness to deal with the situation.
Mhm. Yes, I agree.
So what I'm thinking is, I think about how they say in Buddhism, they say desire is the root of all suffering, right?
Okay.
So our desire, if you really think about it, the fact that you desire something is an affirmation that you lack, right? I wish things were different than what they actually are, right?
Mhm.
So when I think peace, I think if I have that thing, I'm okay. If I don't have that thing, I'm
Mhm.
okay. Even though I know there's a desire for it, the fact that I desire it does not make me unhappy.
Mhm.
It pull me. I'm not as pulled by it. And
Mhm.
also, but the flip side, because like as above, so below. So I can't be but so pulled into the happiness either. You right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm not saying you should or shouldn't resist your emotions because you have to be able to work through them. But like I said, to me, I think of peace as like just if happiness and sadness are tangible physical things, then peace is like the air that transcends all of it. That is
Mhm.
you're in a state of being unaffected by it. You can ride the waves without ever crashing on one or the other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But when, okay, for what your example was, okay, you really want this thing, but then you're knowing that you're not getting it and to be at peace with it. But does that still make you happy because you do not have what you really wanted? It puts you at peace because now you're like, you know what? I understand and I understand and I'm okay and I am done with trying to pursue or trying to get this one thing and I'm just going to try to get something else. But does that really make you happy not having the desire to have this specific thing anymore?
It's not that I don't have the desire. It's that I'm at peace with the fact that I have the desire, and if I get it, I'm cool, I'm good, and if I don't get it, I'm good, right? Because, and this is where you start going down the rabbit hole. Because
Yes.
the idea is not to not try and desire, because then you're desiring to not desire,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
the idea is to just be at peace with your desires and the emotions that come from the fulfillment or lack of fulfillment from
Mhm.
those desires. Now, when they
Mhm.
come, you're naturally going to be happy because you got what you desired, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of times we don't get what we desire. And
Right.
and that's where the problem lies.
Or you get what you desire, but it still don't make you happy.
There you go.
For example, should I go down? Well, yeah, I am. A lot of women who are getting like BBLs and stuff like that, they're getting work done, but they think it's going to make them happy, but they're not happy within. So they're doing more,
Right.
more, more stuff to try to compensate for that. So you may get what you desire, but is that really going to make you happy?
Mhm. And I agree with that as well. If you were happy from within, you would be okay with what you have right now. Um, but I mean, whatever makes you happy. If the BBL makes you happy, you go ahead.
Well, that's crazy though, but you know, I have to think about that one because so what I do is I'll hold on, let me read my wife's comment. She said, being at peace is an understanding that the emotion of sadness is fleeting, just like the emotion of happiness. You understand the ups and downs, and accept that it is only temporary. That's a very good point. Um,
Yes.
what I was gonna say too is that I like to work through why I desire something. So back in maybe 2015 or 16, I caught on to the fact that I was being manipulated by commercials, making me think that I desired a new car. In 2014, right?
Uh-huh.
And I tracked my desire for the new car back to Well, what was the first time I really thought like, damn, like I don't, my car's fine, it works. Why do I want one? And I realized NBA Finals, and they
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of car commercials, and so
Mm-hmm.
that makes me think like, if I had never tracked it back, I would have gotten a new car thinking that's what I wanted to be happy. But I've
Mm-hmm.
been manipulated into
Mm-hmm.
this desire. I've been manipulated into the desire. I get the thing that I desire. It makes me happy, but that wasn't my original desire. Someone implanted that within me. So
Mm-hmm.
if my mind can be manipulated simply by watching TV or communicating with the world in general, right? Then the happiness that I think I seek isn't as inner, or potentially
Mm-hmm.
not as inner as I think it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that peace with whether it comes or goes, I can know that comes from within because that's not a state of desiring.
And I think that that's a perfect example because desiring material things, the car was a perfect example because seeing like rappers and stuff like that get the Mercedes and the Audis, I'm like, man, I gotta get there because I wanted to try to be on that status, on that level because of what I was implanting in my head, but not realizing I don't need that stuff. I don't want to pay the maintenance, all that stuff, but that you desire different stuff that you really think you need, but you don't need, but it's implemented through what we see on TV, social media, etc.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, yeah.
And we know that happiness is only temporary. And then you got to find the next thing that you feel like is going to make you happy.
But
If
that's
you get the new car, but then in 2 years you're like, oh dang, need another new car.
right,
It's only temporary, yeah.
right. It is an eternal pursuit of 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 it not eternal fulfillment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly, it's like you're on a hamster wheel, and when you get to the top, it's fun, and then you go to the bottom, I gotta keep going to the top,
Mm-hmm.
keep going to the top. Like I'd rather be the hamster, just like, oh, the wheel worked, okay, cool, or the wheel broke, okay, cool. We get to the top, it's cool. We get to the bottom, it's cool.
Right. But that new car is not going to give you peace.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's my point. Is that to me, I delineate between peace and happiness. Now, Dr. J was in the comments earlier, and she said, "Well, isn't peace happiness?" And I'm like, not in my experience. Peace is not happiness,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been on scenes where it was tragic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can be at peace. I can still be at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Peace to me is less temporal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I could be at
Mm-hmm.
war. I could be at outer war in a state of inner peace. Right? Somebody
Yeah.
comes in my door right now. It's gonna be real peaceful for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Another good example is for me when you have family issues. So you explain what your issue is and you then at peace, but you're not happy about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to let you go. I'm not going to talk to you, and I'm at peace with that. But am I happy about that situation? No, it is not. Just to go away from the materialistic things in the car. But yes, happiness is not peace, and peace is not happiness for me either. You are correct. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Dream, you got something before we let Janet slide off? I got a feeling she's gonna come back around the 7 o'clock hour with more. Dream, you got something before we let it go?
I'm good. This was a great conversation. I'm good.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. All right, I'm gonna bring I'm gonna see if Dr. J won't come in and chop it up.
Okay.
And Janet, you come back in later.
Okay. All right.
Appreciate y'all. Or you. Yeah. Follow my man Dream City _Dream City. I am Charles X. www.iamcharlesxstore.com for inspirational merch, apparel, and more. And let's get somebody said something funny. Let's get Dr. J in here. Dr. J had left, and I sent her the message just to make sure she came back in here because Jay is on parole all week. Julie being at, get Julie being in here. Hey Jay, can you talk?
Yeah.
Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling okay.
I like it here.
I know.
Thank you.
Jamie, we supposed to find some food spots in the DMV, DC.
I I know I'm coming down there tomorrow.
Oh,
Okay.
you coming down to the
Have
city?
have adventures with Tiff and Twan.
Oh, okay.
We
So,
got some adventures planned too. But go ahead, Chef.
Dr. J, you had asked, was peace happiness? Did we do a good job of explaining the difference for you?
I came in on the tail end of it, so if you wouldn't mind
Sure.
elaborating.
So, happiness and sadness are fleeting emotions. They come and they go, right? But you can be at peace while you're experiencing happiness and sadness. The example that I gave, I think the most relatable example I can give is when someone you love passes away. You're not necessarily happy, you're actually sad, right? But you can be in a state of peace while experiencing that sadness.
Right. Okay.
You
All
understand?
right. Yeah, I understand. So it's not. So it's like happiness. Peace is okay. So happiness is harder to sustain. Pretty much is what you're saying. Rather than
Happiness is like going to the ocean and trying to pick it up with trying to hold all the water in your hand, and it naturally leaks out because it's not natural to be in a happy state all the time. So if I just popped on the live and started laughing and laughed for 2 hours, y'all would be like, something's wrong with that guy.
okay.
Right? But if I popped on the live and started crying and cried for 2 hours, you'd be like, something's wrong with Chels, right? But
Right.
I was on the live and I was happy at certain times and I was sad at other times and I was excited and I was irritated and I had all of these different emotions, but I'm still able to operate and run the show and talk to you and talk to Dream and pin comments and all of that. That's because I have a state of inner peace that those emotions, they can't penetrate.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So that's what I mean when I say I would take peace over happiness, because in my mind, in my experience, I've been able to sustain peace throughout emotions.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so that being said, so we got that explained, how much do you think people depend on their relationships to make them happy?
I think I don't know. I think it's 50-50. I think people do depend on other people or their relationships to make them happy, even though I personally don't. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't agree with it. I don't conform to that. I feel like my happiness has to come from me, from within, from what I want to do or need to do for myself to be happy. Because I'm a person that has been on the other end of that. Like, I do a lot to make other people happy. So a lot of times I was invested in making other people happy, making sure that they were okay to be happy and not making sure that I was okay to be happy. I wasn't making myself happy. But I've gotten better. You know, I got me a life coach. So, you know, but now I'm way better at, can you stop? I'm way better at trying to make myself happy. Get your foot out of my pocket. Sorry. Get out. My dog.
So why do you think you may try to make your partner happy before you make yourself happy? Why do you think that is?
I think, to be honest with you, I think it was something that I saw growing up. Like okay, so for instance, like my grandmother and was always big on like doing stuff for my grandfather. Like, she was always putting herself last. Like, it was always that we were pretty much, they were raised, my mom and them were raised to pretty much like the man, you know, you do this for the man, like the man eats first. You wait on the man. That, you know, for back in the day. I don't want to say older times, I don't want to offend nobody. But that's just how it was. That's what that's what, you know, they were taught. So that's what I was taught. Like, I was kind of, like my sister, she's older than me. She does a lot for her husband. Like, she puts herself last a lot. She does things for him first before she would do it for herself. So I do think it was something that I learned over time, like as far as what I saw, what I was taught. But I had to start trying to get out of that. Like, I had to try and start putting myself first, you know, because I do a lot for a lot of people. So it's like, I don't really take time. So I think it was taught to answer your question. That's what I saw.
And follow up. Do you think that you making other people happy made you happy?
No, no, not all the time. No, because it would be times where there were things I wanted to do for myself, or I should have been doing, and I wasn't. I was making sure that this was done, and this person was okay, and that person was okay, and I wasn't really making sure. I wasn't making sure that I was okay. So, and it was starting to affect like my mood and my happiness, like because I'm a pretty cool, happy type person. So when I started to notice that I was just like becoming somebody that I didn't like, I knew I wasn't happy, and it was because I wasn't doing things to make myself happy. Yes, sir.
So the research is debatable, but they have done studies, and I want to know if y'all know this information, especially you, Dr. J, because you're a doctor, soon to be doctor. Do you know what percentage of happiness comes from genetics based on the studies?
No, I don't.
Do you, Dream? Okay, so based on my research, and like I said, it has been debated and disputed. It's one of those things that is inconclusive. But they did a specific study, and I forget the name of the book that it's in. It's written by a lady. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the comments on YouTube. 50% of happiness is genetic. 40% of happiness is internal, and 10% is external. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So 50% of your happiness, 60% of your happiness, you don't have a control over. Because 50% is genetic, you are what you are, right? And 10% is external. So you are conscious, you can consciously be in quote unquote control of 40% of your happiness internally. Right? Mm-hmm. So I say that to say that it's very important that we consciously choose happiness from a mind state to begin with, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, this was a while ago. I talk to my wife all the time, but I was telling my wife, like, sometimes, like, because y'all know I go on my walks and I do my reels. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll find the happiness in, like, the fact that I can see, or, you know, the fact that I can walk, the basic functions of human life and existence. Or it's like, especially like I'm a fall baby. My birthday is November 6th. If anybody wants to send me a gift, it's coming up.
I know when your birthday is, Scorpio.
Scorpio, right. Greatest. But the leaves, to be able to see the color, the different colors of the leaves, and so because those things are have occurred since before humans even existed, I'm happy at the fact that I get to witness it. But right. I think sometimes we get so tunnel visioned in on our circumstances that it's difficult for us to step back and see that it's a lot of happy shit going on. We just aren't in tune to it. That's why you have to take that 40% and like grab the bull by the horns.
Right. Okay.
You feel me?
Yeah. Learn something new every day.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. So that's good information.
I never thought about that either.
Yeah, I didn't either till I was reading this book, and I was like, oh wow. So I create the little flashcards, and then I go back and I take the test. That's how I memorize it and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so let's talk about this, Dr. J. If you are the type of person to put other people first, but you don't even know if that's naturally who you are, because you're saying that your circumstances told you that's who you were supposed to be. And so I think the way in which life kind of tells you whether or not you're supposed to be that way is if you feel resentment, right? So because I'm kind of like that too, like I'll just eat whatever, or I'll do this, I'll put myself last. That's okay as long as you're good, you're at peace, right? It's starting to weave together. As long as I'm at peace, right? But if I start to feel resentment, right? Because resentment is something that can disturb your peace a little bit. I ain't at peace no more. I feel bothered. Right. Then how you know you haven't put yourself first enough. Mm-hmm. Right? So It's okay to put other people first. It's okay to put other people and do things for other people, but life has a a indicator, right? To let you, like, hold on, I'm doing this a little too much. I need to put myself first, regardless of what these other people may need, so that I can continue to be the best version of me that's out there.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But then also, like, I'm actually kind of like, I'm used to it in a way, because I mean, look what I do for a living too. I take care of people for a living. So
right. We both in that same, in the same kind of boat, right? But it's like I said, like, sometimes, like, if I have the ability to maintain my life, I'm probably gonna do that, right? I'm gonna take.
Your wife said it. Your wife just put it in the comments too, right when I was ready to say it.
Dream said fall makes him sad. So we're gonna have to get him back in here and come back and find out what's up with that. But yeah, I do think it's something that I think you and I both do jobs that most people probably would crack under, and we do what we have to do in the moments, right? But there are still times when you have to put yourself first, even though the triage chart may say that you're not supposed to be first. And I'm not talking about in your job, I'm talking about in your life.
Right.
Right. In the job, we have to do what we have to do. But in our lives, your situation may be more pressing than mine. We have a tendency to focus on that other person because by the life chart, their situation is more pressing.
Right.
Still might need to get me something to eat. So I'm going to get me something to eat, and then I'll deal with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How you okay? The fall make you sad?
Fall make you sad?
And I hate cold weather. I know what's coming. I'd be like, oh my God. It's just, I like spring and summertime. That fall and winter, can't deal with it. It's irritating.
But are you at peace during the fall?
Yeah, I'm at peace because I find my happy places and I do my happy things. And then we travel to the warm weather. So
okay, hold on, Dream. Let's do a thought experiment, right? Tell me some things, and I'm not talking about getting on a plane and going somewhere warm. So you're stuck here for the fall and the cold weather. What are some things about the fall and the cold weather that you appreciate?
Good question. Like nothing.
The holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas coming. No. I like the holidays.
Okay, so you got the holidays. So you spend holidays with family, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you don't think that? Well, I personally think that fall is the prettiest time of the year from a nature standpoint. Would you agree?
Yeah. I'm not like an outdoors person, so I was like, yeah, I wouldn't care. Yeah.
Dream just go outside and just close his eyes.
Julie asked me if I was cold. Oh, because I got on my jacket. No, Julie. I'm about to walk Daisy. Where's Daisy?
Hey, this is what you do. You go to IamChillsXstore.com. You get you a Take Your Power Back hoodie. And you go outside and you can open your eyes and see all the that autumn brings.
I got you. It looks nice, but it just don't do nothing for me.
It doesn't touch you.
No, like seeing ocean water and the beaches do more for me.
Beach in the fall time.
Yeah.
So a season makes you sad. The fall season makes you sad.
Yeah, it is. Then I know it's going to snow, and then they can't plow the roads. I'm thinking too far ahead of time. It's like
you already at the snow.
Dream is a seasonal pessimist.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, you are. So you don't like the snow at all? Wow. So do y'all go out in the fall, winter at all, or no?
If we going out of state.
Julie said just move to Florida.
So Dream Dream has an avoidance issue too.
Yeah, man. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Julie Bean, you coming to the stage today? Let me know.
Yeah, bring Julie to the stage because she has a lot to say about me saying that they eat first. She said I eat before everybody.
Come on, Julie. I gotta leave Mars. I'm taking all my kids out to dinner right now, and my daughter got a function. We on Virginia State homecoming right now, so they ain't having a good time out here.
Okay, well, go ahead and do your thing. I appreciate you as always, my brother.
Yeah. I'm
No
about to slide
problem.
too. I gotta take Daisy on her walk.
Okay, well, I need one of y'all to stay long enough for me to get Julie in here.
Julie
Oh,
said,
I
"Bring me
bet.
in."
Let
Julie
me
said, "Bring her in."
All right, Dream, appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Peace. All right, let's bring Julie Bean in here. Let's see who else is in here. Oh, cool. And I know Julie's always happy.
She gonna come on smiling. Look.
I know.
Oh, it's dark. Look, there go that smile.
See, got the teeth.
I told you she was gonna come on smiling.
Turn the light on, Julie.
I'm getting there. I can't move as
Oh,
fast.
yeah, you're right. I apologize. There you go.
Guess what, guys?
Julie Bean.
I went to a restaurant today.
Hold on one second before you go. Jay, you need to go? You need to take the dog out?
Yeah, I got about to slide.
All right, we'll holler. Peace. Appreciate you. Thanks for holding space for me.
No problem.
All right, we'll holler. All right, so Julie Bean,
I'm here.
how are you feeling?
I feel good. I went out today. I walked around. I ate out. Yeah, I feel good.
Oh, that makes me happy.
I drove.
Was that your first time?
No, second time. But I drove the highway. It was a little scary because these people drive crazy.
Okay, so let's do it. Happiness. How much of your happiness depends upon your love life?
Actually, I am learning that it's a big percentage. Like now that I'm single, I realized a lot of my happiness came from my relationship. And I had to learn that it needs to come from me. Like I need to love myself. And how could I say? I heard it the other day. Somebody said, it's like learning to love yourself all over again.
So that's beautiful to me, right? I think it's really cool. I think it's a really cool experience to learn to love yourself and to get reacquainted with yourself. But there's a lot of pain on the front side of that before you get to that point.
Yeah, I'm still at the front. At the front.
But so what are some things that you do or processes that you go through to build that inner peace or inner happiness?
I've been intentionally spending a lot of time by myself. Like, I know I'm recovering from the surgery and everything, and my friends and my family, they'll call me and they'll be like, oh, do you need something? Do you want me to come by? And I'm not trying to be mean, but I am purposefully spending a lot of time by myself. So that way I could like get uncomfortable and like, okay, figure out how I'm going to get comfortable with being by myself.
Yeah, I remember when I lived by myself for maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And you don't realize how much you have to depend on yourself for certain things, how lonely loneliness can feel sometimes and stuff like that. But I think when you go through it, you come out of it and it kind of builds that peace that I'm talking about, because you know you're gonna always have you, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. I just wonder if I stay like this for a long time, will I just get set in my own ways and then have trouble sharing that time and space with somebody, in the future?
So, okay, so this feels like a life coaching session, but it's not. So I'll just give you my opinion, right? I think it's important to know yourself well enough to know when you need to be malleable and open to other people's thoughts, opinions, emotions, and the ways of doing things, right? So that's another part of understanding yourself, which is sitting with yourself and understanding I'm picky about where things go, but I also understand that other people aren't as picky about where things go, right? And so because you're okay with that within you, you don't necessarily have to try and control this other person when they finally come along. You can be okay with the fact that you are OCD-ish and they are whatever the opposite of that is. And then y'all can openly communicate and work together to work through that, right? You understand what I'm saying?
I understand. And I'm laughing because I am a bit OCD. And I don't know how that's going to look like if someone is like the opposite, because that's extreme.
What do Coach Jay say? We have to have a conversation, right?
Oh,
We got to have a conversation. And it's probably going to be some give and take where, like, you know, everything isn't going to be exactly where Julie Bean wants it. And the guy can't just come in and throw his coat and the keys and shoes in the middle of the floor. Maybe you create a space for where he can do those things, right? And you just avoid that space altogether, right? That's what in the oh nah, Julie. Hey, it might be a water bug or something in there crawling on my arm. But no, I do think what do you think about the peace? Were you present for the peace and happiness part of the conversation?
No, I joined when Jay was talking about how she was raised a certain way, to like serve everyone else first before her.
Yeah, well, you were kind of that way too, right?
Yeah, I all my life I was the one doing all of the giving, and I always got the short end. I felt like I always got the short end of the stick, but everybody was happy, so as long as everybody was happy, then I'm good. But
Okay.
now, like, you know, my kids are grown and I'm really by myself. Now I'm like, okay, it's time to make sure I'm happy first.
Yeah, I like that. I think so. Like, you know how you know what a pendulum is?
Yeah.
It's left and right. I think it's very important to make sure that you know, put yourself first, but you also don't want that pendulum to go too far to a point where your own, for lack of a better term, selfishness begins to cause those really big problems. Like, you know what I'm saying? You still got to be able to float in between the 0 point. Like, oh, this time it makes sense for myself to be first. This time it makes sense for this other person to be first, as opposed to swinging all the way over here. And now you're alone when you don't want to be alone because you're overcompensating for what used to be. You
Right. Mm-hmm.
Nikki, what's good?
Hey y'all.
You got eye makeup on. You about to go somewhere? Where you going?
No, I came back. Today's my birthday. My daughter took me out earlier today.
For real?
Thank you.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's what's up. Are you happy?
I've been happier. I think it's just due to like recent events, but overall I think I'm typically happy. Yeah.
Are you at peace? Like right now, are you at peace?
Probably not.
Why not?
Well, we just suffered a loss in my family, and then we have people that are sick. You know, sometimes it can be overwhelming with a lot of things compounded, you know. But I am as at peace as I could be with the things that I cannot change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. And I mean, that's how I look at peace, right? That's what
Yeah.
earlier, like, it's, you're not always going to be happy. I mean, that's the example I gave, right?
Yeah.
Like you have a loss or a death in the family, and all you can do is be at peace. You could be crying,
Yeah.
breaking down crying, and still be in a kind of like in a state of acceptance, even if it's just you accepting that that's the emotion that you're experiencing, not
Exactly. Exactly.
right.
Yep.
So yeah, that's good though. I feel so honored that you accepted Because you didn't ask to come live. I just hit the button. I came down. Oh, Nikki in here. If you come here on your birthday, I appreciate you. I feel special.
Yeah. Look, I tune in all the time. I feel like you are uplifting. I feel like you draw like minds, like Julie and Dr. J. Like, I really appreciate, like, your wife. I appreciate the comments. I read them. And really, it's so crazy because you can think that a subject has nothing to do with you, but you just like, well, let me listen to it, because, and then be able to apply it to what is going on with you. It'd be crazy. Sometimes you get the dose of exactly what you need, and you didn't even know you was getting it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, I ain't gonna keep you long unless you want to stay. I mean, it's your birthday.
I'm actually about to go spend some time with my husband and have dinner, but I'm glad y'all let me in, or that you asked me in.
Yeah, we wish you the happiest of birthdays. Go ahead, Julie.
Thank you.
Happy birthday again. Go ahead.
Thank you. Take care. Bye, Julie.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Nikki. Peace.
You know what, Chels?
Peace.
What's up?
Absolutely right, because especially now, when I go on social media, it's like so much information, and you're taking in so much information at a very fast rate because all you're doing is scrolling. And as much as people say that all you're doing is scrolling, you are taking in whatever it is that you're scrolling through.
Uh-huh.
And it's very, it's like a breath of fresh air to be able to be on here or just listen in. And we're hearing like real stories and real experiences, despite the platform being so fake.
Yeah, I absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, like, I think the last kind of rabbit hole that I really found myself in was like politics.
Mm-hmm.
And it was important that I went down that rabbit hole. But now I'm kind of like, I'm not as into sports as I used to be. I'm not as into politics. It's just a lot of stuff I'm just kind of like, I'm not really into. And it still kind of comes up in my feed, but it just doesn't touch me. So to be able to do this every day, it's really cool to be able to come on here, disagree with people, because a lot of times on the internet, where like you like people be like, yo, pull up, like they ready to kill each other. Like, nah, that's not what this is. We just have this like the high school lunch table with all the cool kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And as much as I'm like, well, I don't want to spend, a lot of time on social media. And this past couple of weeks, I have literally nothing to do because I physically can't go anywhere or do anything. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with my time? How am I going to keep my mind growing and learning? And I'm like, I'm just get on the live with Chels.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. And I know, like, when I can kind of pinpoint certain points, even though I didn't know it at the time. I can connect dots in my timeline. Mm-hmm. And because I was kind of treated, I feel, a bit unfairly on social media in terms of some politics, I was like, man, I kind of want space. I don't necessarily want to talk to a bunch of people I agree with. I want to talk to people who are open-minded enough to just have really cool dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got to be right. I ain't got to be right or wrong. But just the idea that I could learn from Julie, I could learn from Jay, I could learn from Janet, I could learn from Dream, I could learn from Sam, I could learn from these different people and not be all in my feelings about it. I wanted to create that space to be able to do that.
Well, you sure did, and I'm glad that you did. I was telling my friend a couple of days ago, it just, I don't know, like it was the divine intervention, I guess. Mm-hmm. Because when I started watching the live with you and Sam, at first I was like, what are these people? But then as time progressed and I could relate to the conversation. Maybe that's what. It wasn't that it wasn't that I was agreeing or disagreeing. It was just simply the fact that I could relate to what was being said. And yes, sometimes some people would go on there and I would be like, oh Lord. But I still force myself to be quiet and listen, because you never know like what little gems you're gonna get, when you're on here. So I appreciate it. And Vicky's prayers every morning. So I'm just like, the more I get on here, the more I meet like awesome people that I'm not gonna necessarily allow myself to meet if I'm like walking down the street.
Vicky,
Hey.
your post did
Whew.
really good this morning. I mean, oh shoot!
I said, Jesus. Praise the
I
Lord.
said Vicky on a roll, yo. I said she must have been praying last night. She prayed.
Oh.
She prayed.
I've been pressing through. Jesus, Lord knows I've been pressing through. It's been tough.
Julie, man, you okay to stick around, or you need to slide off?
I'm good. Is it cold over there? Listen, I'm in Florida, so we don't get a change of seasons. But I'm looking at y'all with like jackets and coats.
It's cold.
At the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's been kind of chilly.
It's 67 degrees according to my watch. You know, I work night, so sometimes even this is some people don't realize. Real quick, before we let Vicky really jump in. People think like you know how like Vicky, you know, around here like in September it still be hot.
It do.
Right? What people don't realize is that when you outside at say 3 a.m. in September, sometimes
it's cold.
It be like 50 degrees. And people be like, oh, it's hot. Like, no, I'm wearing long sleeves to work. They like, I don't care.
Exactly. It'd be cold up here. Up here. Cause you down here. So yeah, it'd be cold up here.
I'm still in the 80s.
Bye, Julie. Hey, I'm unhappy. You disrupted my peace. You disrupted my peace. I don't like that. Vicky, but let's talk about it, Vicky.
Okay.
Happiness. What does happiness mean to you? And have you ever used a relationship to attain happiness?
Yes and yes. And yes and yes, I have before. Happiness to me is peace and helping me to forget about the problems that I am facing. So it's definitely peace, genuine love, and just the fact of being in a state of like, I say euphoria, but yeah, euphoria.
Okay, cool. I like that. Tell me about tell me about a particular time in your mind when you like, shoot, you know, I was too dependent upon this relationship for happiness.
Definitely when I was in my 20s, I got in a relationship, just off the, it was just great. I mean, I didn't find any fault in this person just because at the time, he was doing everything like that I wanted him to do. So he was a people pleaser. So he really didn't show me who he was because he was so focused on being the person, because he was so adamant about, he was always asking questions. And then when he asked questions, he would do those things. And I was like, this is a genie in a bottle. But he couldn't keep it up for too long because then he started showing his true colors himself. He started being who he was. And I couldn't fault him for that at all. But, it was interesting for a moment.
I know Julie. So go ahead, Julie.
Why do people do that? Why? And this is what I don't understand, right? If we are not being like demanding or asking for X, Y, and Z or else, like, right? If we're not giving you ultimatums, why do people feel like they have to constantly please you for periods of time? Like in my case, it was for years. And then suddenly they show you who they are and you're like, wait a second.
Are you asking me my opinion?
Yeah, I would like to know because this was never a requirement. So like, why? I don't get it.
Vicky, do you have an answer, or you waiting for me to get my opinion too?
Well, what came out later is that he was so adamant on trying to get me that he just forgot about what he wanted and what all the things that he desired because he was so fixated and focused on trying to get me. So everything that he knew that I disliked, he tried his hardest to not do, but he was always adamant about the questions, but there were some things that he just didn't agree with, that he wasn't going to go with. So he kept it up as long as he could, but it was eating him up inside because he wasn't really being who he really was. So it just played in his mind over and over again. So whatever in your heart eventually starts coming out of your mouth, and even shows in actions. So
okay, so this is what I think. I think that we all need and desire love, and I think that all of us are still have an inner child that is still very active within our state of being, right? And if you think about a lot of the ways in which we celebrate our kids, we celebrate them when they do the things that we want them to do. So your kid does good in school and you celebrate them, or your kid scores a goal at the soccer game, at the basketball game, and you go rah. And whenever and so what happens is I think that internally, subconsciously, you begin to say, okay, in order to receive love, I have to do what people want me to do, right? So if I am attracted to you, or I like you, and I want you to love me too, I've already been programmed to do the things or at least I think you want me to do, or that I know that you would like for me to do, in order to get you to love me, because I haven't been conditioned to think of myself as being worthy of love just for being me. I have to accomplish something. I have to do something in order to get your love. It can't be you just love me just for me.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, what if you just love the person for them without all the fluff and all the extra stuff?
Yeah, that may very well be the case, but that's not how their program operates, because they just met you in their 30s or their late 20s or 40s. But for the past 30, 20, 40 years, they've been seeking love through doing what other people wanted. We live in a society that rewards the corrective action, right? So that's the way society works, until you find out that you can actually love someone simply for being them, with all of their pros and their cons. But that's very hard. That's a very difficult mental programming to break, especially in intimate relationships, because we all want to appease our partners, and we don't want to be, from a survival standpoint, if you look at the way humans were back in, caveman days and all of that good stuff, you didn't want to get kicked out the group, because getting kicked out the group meant you were going to die.
Right.
So you were going to do whatever the group wanted you to do, regardless of how you felt. Like, nah, okay, y'all telling me to do this to stay in the group. I want to survive, right? And so, Dream want to know if you're okay. He said police lights.
Oh,
yeah, police.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's what I think it is. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just that I think we just have in our minds, we think we have to do these things in order to appease this person. But what happens is eventually, like I was telling Dr. J, that resentment begins to build up, because you're not loving yourself. And once you realize you're not loving yourself, you begin to resent those other people, even though you didn't take your power back. It's your fault. Had you took your power back, you'd have been good.
Yeah.
So that's what
somebody said abandonment issues. Somebody said that it has to do with abandonment issues. I guess.
I mean, that plays into what I'm saying. Like, because like if you think of abandonment issues, and not necessarily just like I'm going to abandon you, but I'm not going to celebrate you just for being you. I'm only going. I give you a perfect example.
For what I want. Yep.
I give you a perfect example, right? People will be loyal to their sports team until they lose. And they be like, they take the hat off and they hide the hat. Or they take the jersey off and that's the Homer Simpson meme where he has on one shirt and he backs into the bushes and then he comes back out and he has on another shirt. The diehard fans, they love their team through then, right?
Right.
So those are the fans that those teams and owners and players genuinely have an affinity for, not the ones who are only rocking with us when we up, right?
So do you think that, like, if you meet a person, they are hell bent on making sure that you're happy, that's a red flag?
I think it can be, you know what I'm saying? I think so, because when you know better, you do better, right? So now if you're in the dating world and someone seems a bit overly interested in appeasing you, you can ask them, hey, you know, what do you love about yourself? What do you do for yourself? What is your self-care routine look like? Do you ever put yourself in front of for other people? Because that's definitely gonna matter for you. You know what I'm saying? So, but Vicky, what you got going on? You in the red light? Make sure you ain't get pulled over.
It's so much happening, y'all. It's an accident that just literally just happened. Like literally just happened. And I'm like, it's just so much happening right now. And I'm not understanding, but I'm paying attention. I'm listening, y'all. I'm paying attention. It's just so much.
I'm gonna let you slide off and I'm gonna get, because I got Dr. Hawk trying to get in here and talk to you.
Okay, yeah.
Come back in if you want to get back in. It's 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
All right, appreciate you.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Hey, Julie, if you want to slide off, let me know. I could bring the doctor in. If you want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay. No pressure one way or the other.
Okay. Who's coming?
Dr. A. Hawk.
Okay. I want to listen to what she got to say.
So you gonna stay? You gonna stick around?
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Let's see what she's doing. What if it was somebody that you didn't want to talk to? You'd be like, all right, I'm out of here. Deuces, I'm putting me first, baby. Let's see if the doctor. Hello.
Hi.
How you feeling, Doc?
I'm feeling good. How you guys doing this evening?
I feel good.
Good.
Would you want to contribute to the conversation?
So it's the thing about happiness. There is a difference between feeling happy and truly being happy in our lives.
Okay. And like,
there are things in our lives that make us happy. It may be a person that makes us happy. It may be, my job makes me happy. This makes me happy. To know if you're truly happy, you have to ask yourself, if those things are no longer there, am I still happy? If the question is yes, then you're truly happy. And I think that a lot of it has to do with what we're consuming every day, in our lives, like to shift our mindset that I'm going to be happy, with or without some stuff. So that's my contribution to this conversation. It's that intrinsic thing. So what are the things you have to ask yourself? What am I doing to support my intrinsic happiness, the things that come from me, and not looking for those outside things to make me happy?
Julie, Ben, you got something to respond to that?
And that's what I was saying earlier, that's what I am learning now, being by myself and having all the time to like think. Like sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I can't get out of bed, or I need help, or I'm in pain. And then I'm like, no, you are blessed. You woke up, you can move. It'll take a little longer, but I have to like reprogram my mind. So that way I can look at, the positive aspect and say, and I like talk to myself and I'm like, okay, how am I going to fill that cup by myself today for myself? I never had the opportunity to do that before. I was always taking care of someone, or in my last relationship, because it was so long, that person was always there. And now I look around and I'm like, okay, girl, it's just you and you.
Let me ask y'all this. Do you think that the natural state of existence is one of intrinsic happiness?
No, no, because
Okay.
no, and I say that because, we're born, like, if you look around, this world is kind of messed up. So being born into this world itself, we got to put up so many barriers or do some things to kind of, and I'm not going to say block it, but build up mechanisms to help us resist certain things, put up things to help us be able to handle certain situations that may come about, So I don't say we're born, I mean, as babies, we're not even, because, sometimes babies will cry and they can't really communicate what their needs are. And that's us trying to figure it out. Now, if they get to a point where parents know this cry is for this, they want this, maybe they'll get that satisfaction for that moment, but then things happen again. So I would say, no, we're not born into intrinsic happiness.
Okay. This is going to be fun. Julie Bean, what you think?
I have to disagree.
Okay.
Because the way I'm understanding it would mean that I'm not grateful to be here.
Right.
And I feel like I'm not finished giving a piece of me to whoever I'm supposed to touch. I feel like I'm not done yet with whatever my goal is supposed to be, whether it's,
Mm-hmm.
my kids or loving my family or just giving a piece of my joyfulness to whoever, because I'm a very happy person, like, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like every day that I wake up, it should be it's a God-given opportunity for me to take my inner happiness and
Mm-hmm.
out there into the, that's how I feel.
Right.
Okay. So I agree with Julie.
Okay.
Right? And I have a very simple way of looking at it, right? Jessie, she's not on here, but she comes on from time to time. She posted a reel and she sent it to me in my DM, and I guess she wanted my opinion on it, so I commented on it. And she said she wanted people to come to her post and define success, right?
Right.
And what I said on her post was this: success is the natural state of existence, right? It's not until we begin to desire things outside of what is given to us by God, we begin to feel like we're unsuccessful.
Right.
However, the simple fact that you can breathe makes you successful.
Yeah.
Because the moment that you cannot breathe, you are going to realize how successful you were 10 seconds ago.
Right. So, because you're successful in that portion when you look at those human nature things, those things that we're humanly possible to do, those things that we're born with. I get that. We're successful in that sense. But I guess it's one of those things where you have to, just like you said, Julie, you have to teach yourself, what that means. We're happy. You're changing your mindset to say, I'm happy I'm alive. I'm happy I woke up. But there's a point where you have not been like that all your life, which is why I said there's some things or some times where it may not be intrinsic, but we have to teach ourselves what it is that we need to support that intrinsic motivation to be happy.
Okay. So Doc, let me ask you this. Are you a religious person?
I am.
In some way?
I
okay.
am.
So what you just said something that sparked something in my brain, right? I think kids are like intrinsically happy, right?
Yeah.
They don't care about, until society gets a hold on them, they don't care what people think about what they're wearing. They'll run around butterball naked and just be free. They're happy. And that's not to say that they won't cry, but they're just free and good with what it is. They don't have a concept of poor, of gaining, of being better. They just like, nah, I'm just me. Like, and it's good, right? And so, give me 1 second, and then I'll let you go. I'm not a Bible buff, but I know some of them. I can't give you the verse in the chapter, but when it talks about a child leading them, in my mind, they're talking about your inner child. When you find that inner child joy, where you can be naked in front of the world and not care, what the world says about you and not have that affect you, that's the true like inner happiness.
It's and I guess when you say children, and I'm thinking like up to what age? Because there are so many ACEs that some of our kids are actually born into. And I guess is when they get exposure to society. Because let's see, because even a kid that may be born with some type of deformity or things like that, you know, and even just their mom, they might look and say, something's different about me. They might not, you know, understand why, but they'll have the thought. But I think that it may be now when they get exposed to society and someone says something or stares and look at them differently, you know, it may change it. So I do get it in that sense, because when they're born and up to a certain point, until they're exposed to society, yes, I say, yes, they are happy. Yes, Julie.
And you know, I understand what you're both saying, and to flip it, assuming that they are born into a loving whatever.
Right.
Because they have the kids that they started at a negative.
Right.
You know, the kids that they don't know what it feels like to come to be brought home to like a loving parent or a loving sibling. So they have no clue. Like their version of happiness is like dark clouds, you know. So I also think your environment has a big to do. Like my family, if we were struggling in that house, we had no idea, because we're gonna play the book. It was the time of our life, and that's how our parents just said, in this house, we don't know what's going on with the rest of the world, but in this house, we're gonna be happy with what God has provided. And I remember my dad always said, you're gonna enjoy what we got, you know, like not thinking about the outside world, because that can really start affecting and skewing what your version of happiness can be.
Yes.
And I thank my parents, because they did a great job, but I do understand where people start comparing success to the happiness part. Like, oh, if you don't have enough of X, Y, and Z, you know,
but we know that things don't make you happy, because if you look, I don't know what it is now, but at one point the suicide rate was much higher for people that were more affluent with things.
Yep.
So, and then I'm going to go back to this, the being born. There are some kids that do experience in utero trauma. So now I would say if we all were born at the same playing field, I'll say absolutely we may be, you know, because when I first started teaching, I've experienced a lot of the students that were kids that were addicted to drugs and things like that, the crack babies. So now we're in, you know, an ideal world where the experience was all equal and the same. The parent wasn't living in a house where there's lead paint that's impacting the in utero trauma. I'll say yes, but there are other things that may impact.
So right, but so like to me, we're not really that much in disagreement though, right?
Right.
And because if first of all, we're all agreeing that society is what begins to strip natural things from it. And what I'm saying is before or if society didn't do it, there would be an intrinsic happiness, right? So even if you take a child who has some type of issues, what'd you say, in utero trauma?
Yeah.
Right? If you took a child, like, okay, what age are you talking about? Like, give me an idea.
So that means like if the parent is pregnant and drinking and doing drugs while they're pregnant, you know, those types of things, or even at birth, I gotta now be hooked up to machines and stuff like that because I I don't have the ability to breathe naturally. Like you said, that thing that,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And so, but what I'm saying, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, because it may, the thought that I'm having may depend upon being a certain age, right?
Right.
You had a newborn that had in utero trauma, and they needed to be hooked up to this machine in order to sustain life, right? If you were to take them away from the machine, would that baby then go into a state of panic because it's no longer having its life sustained? Would that baby begin to cry or act in a way as if to be saying, hook me back up?
I don't know, because I haven't seen that happen. So I don't know. So I can't answer that question.
Right. So, I can't either. That's why I was asking. But let's say you had a baby who was, say, 1 or 2, right? And they were a trauma baby, right? Mm-hmm. If you were to go to that child and to begin to do something to that child to take that child's life, that child would still fight for its life.
Right.
Because intrinsically we desire to be, to exist, to breathe. So if you went to that baby, no matter how much of a concept that it had been through trauma, it was like, you know what? I'll figure out the trauma. It's like if it could think the way we do, it would say, hey, dog, I know I'm going to have some issues later on, and I got this trauma stuff that I'm going to have to work out. But I like being enough to continue being. And because of that, don't end it for me.
Right. Now, that's an assumption. That's an assumption because a lot of times, and I'm thinking about kids, even at a young age, who have severe ADHD as a result of their parents being on drugs. We often see the kids and they're hopping all around, and, you know, you say to them, why can't you just act right? And I try to explain that the effort for that kid to act right, because this is now part of who they are. Mm-hmm. They're struggling so much to even sit still and fold their hands, and they're getting in trouble, getting the bad notes all the time. So, and they go through the depression, because I have kindergartners that will make a statement, I just want to die and kill myself because of stuff like, you know. Right. So, and I think it's us, the society, on how we are reacting to that and understanding what trauma does to kids, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that the natural state is to be, I think once your survival needs are met, right? So a baby comes out, a baby's crying, you put a nipple in the baby's mouth, and eventually the baby's like, this is great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And as long as we continue to meet its basic survival needs and don't expose it to our ills, it's like, hey, you know, this thing's decent, right?
But think about it. That pacifier is something extrinsic that we have to use to soothe that baby. They don't know how to self-soothe at that point.
Yeah, I understand that, because that's his natural. That's because it has to eat, right?
Right.
And what I'm saying is once the basic needs of life, once the basic needs of life are met, it's like, I'm good, I'm chilling, I'm straight. Because that's because we exist in a physical state of existence.
Right.
So we have to eat, we have to breathe, and eating and breathing are the same thing. Like if you were to take that baby and put it in a position to where it couldn't breathe, it's going to try and naturally, innately get air. Give me the air. I don't give a damn about the social construct. Give me the air, and I'll figure it out later. And I think what I'm saying is that natural inclination to breathe tells
to survive.
Me to survive, right? It's like, I'll take survival over whatever's on the other side. I'll take it. So that's all. That's all I was saying. What y'all got anything in closing on that?
No. I just think it's so important to realize how society has a big to do in how our brain works, you know, how we look at life. And I wish that the conversation is had at a younger age. Like, you know how I feel like finances should be a course in high school.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like these conversations should be had much younger, and the more technology grows, the younger the conversation needs to be had, because these kids nowadays have access to so much
Too much.
that balance. They're lacking all this other information, but yet they have access to what is going to skew their mind at such an early age.
Yeah.
And I don't know what course that would be called, but I
call it life, right? Because that's really what it is. We teach them all these technical things like the math and the science and the reading and stuff like that, but we don't teach them emotional intelligence.
So, well, that's the shift, especially after COVID, where it's required, especially in the state of Delaware, that you have to have some type of social emotional learning curriculum that's part of your schedule to be taught. So
we getting there.
We getting there.
Yeah. So because I'm big on emotional intelligence, I try and teach my kids about it. Libby, she'll meditate. You know what I'm saying? If she gets upset, sometimes she'll go sit somewhere and do her meditation thing, deep breathing. Finn, she's 2. So, you know, just the other day, she was really upset. So I picked her up, and she's just now becoming, what's the word? Like touchy-feely. She wasn't really touchy-feely at first, but I kind of put her face next to my face, and I said, okay, we're going to take some deep breaths, okay? And I could, you know how you feel, I could feel her little heart just palpitating. And I started breathe. I took a deep breath in, and I went slow, and I could feel her heart rate go down. I'm trying to get them to understand that, like, your emotions are always going to fluctuate. You know what I'm saying? Right. But there are things you can do to kind of quell them and kind of stabilize them so that your mind and your heart can kind of deal with whatever reality or the circumstances are. Because, like I said, I've been on the scenes where reality became too much for people, and it's so sad, because in your mind you're like, if I had gotten here 5 minutes, 10 minutes earlier, I could have been like, dog, like, you know, we can go get something to eat. We get, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be like this.
Right. Which I really appreciated your post that you put up today about what are those things to, you know, what was it today?
The short-term things you can do to deal with negative emotions.
Yes. That was a good one.
So those are really, the short-term joints are really important to me, because I look at them like like spare tires, right? And you're gonna use them over and over and over again through life. You think about your emotions, they blow up and then they go down, and you got to have your spare tires, your tools in place to be able to deal with it. Now, I'm big on the long-term solutions where you're doing like daily meditation, daily journaling, daily deep breathing, improving your sleep patterns, and all of those things. Those are important too. But if all I need to do is get you through the next 5 minutes, and all that takes is for us to do a silly dance or gossip about something or just distract yourself, then hey, let's make it through the next 5 minutes. It's cool. And who knows, it might be another 2 years before we need that again, or it might be 2 days, but at least we know these are things we can do to combat. And then when you're mentally and emotionally mature enough, you can start looking and really like facing those.
Right.
But you can use it every day if you need to, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But
thank you.
You sticking around, Doc? You stay. Who got? Somebody gotta go. Who leaving? Julie Ben, you leaving? Doc, you leaving too?
Yeah, I'm a sign off.
All right. So Julie Ben, just sit tight for me. I'll get you out of here in a second. All right, Doc. We appreciate you.
All right.
Let's see. Let's get Doc out. I'm gonna see if I was trying to get Keisha back in here, but I guess she's not gonna be in here.
I can't see the comments anymore.
You can't see the comments? I think they still It's
been a while.
Well, Julie Bain, I guess. Okay, wait a minute. Who's trying to come in? Oh, okay. All right. Let me get a button in here, and then we'll slide off for the night, because I gotta get ready. Go to work. You there?
Hey, Julie.
She said, "Hey, Julie." All right, All right, Julie Bean, I'll let you slide off. I appreciate you riding with me for most of the show. Good to go.
Thank
I'll holler.
Good job, Julie.
Thank
So of
you.
course
Bye.
I have a lot to add to what Julie and Doc were saying because
Hold on. I gotta get my nap in. We got 5 minutes. I ain't trying to rush you, but what you got for me?
I gotta speed it so I can get it all in.
All right. So what are your thoughts on the conversation?
So I'm gonna be very, 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 very transparent, Charles. So I'm older. I think we're in the same age bracket. So I grew up in an environment that most would say was unhealthy. My mom didn't drink, she didn't smoke or any of that stuff, but I had a trauma that caused me to become suicidal at the age of 10.
Okay.
But when I would go around people, I can feel when people love me versus tolerating me.
Okay.
So when I think about the things that Barbara personally has done to Barbara, and I can still genuinely love folks. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, all that little negative stuff. I genuinely show love to people where they think I'm strange. So I kind of disagree with the
Oh, you breaking up. You breaking up. You buffering. We trying to get you. We gotta get you. We gotta get you back straight because we can't hear you. Okay, hold on. Stop. You buffered out. All right, yeah. So go back. You said you disagree with what part now?
I said I disagree with the part. I said I agree with you saying that all kids are happy. I disagree with the fact that kids with titles, whether it's ADA, ADHD, parents was on drugs, in vitro trauma, I disagree with that kind of stuff because you can love a child to be healthy even with those tags. Kids can be extremely happy even with those titles attached to them.
So hold on, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that you disagree with the idea that those kids are unhappy because if you love them properly, they can flourish.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I actually think that was the point that the Dr.
She was
Hawk
trying to say but couldn't say.
Well, I understood what she was saying. I thought she was saying that it's society and the way we approach certain things that cause a lot of the mental and emotional issues.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But when she talked about kids that have in utero traumas, whether they come out addicted to drugs or come out HIV positive.
You breaking
up? Can you hear me? I may have to call.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you still buffering.
Okay, I'm not buffering on my side.
You never buffer.
Okay, so no matter how a child comes into the world, with proper love, they can flourish.
Okay.
And
I agree with that.
But I don't think that's what she was saying. That's why I was like, just because a child has a title doesn't mean they can't be happy.
No, I don't think that's what she was saying. Oh, hold on, let me see if she'll come back in here and then we'll did she leave? No, she's still in here. Let's see if she can come back. Dr. Hawk, if you can come back and clear it up. I'm sorry, I hate to make. I know you work today, you're working overtime, but it's all. So what do you understand? understand what she's saying in reference to what your perspective was?
So that's exactly what I was saying, that we do have kids, because I think I was responding to Chel's statement of that all kids are born happy. But there are some situations that kids can experience trauma at an early age. But again, I never said that kids with ADHD or born with trauma cannot be happy. What I'm saying is exactly what you're saying is with the proper external things, we got to understand how they're operating and understand their trauma so that we can give them the proper love so they can flourish. That's what I was saying.
Right. That's what I got from it.
That's not what the comments was getting. So
No, that's what I was getting from it. I think we were also discussing whether or not they were intrinsically happy. So they were intrinsically happy, but I think my overarching point was, if there wasn't for the trauma, like what they would say, the sons will pay for the sins of the father, right? They are the way they are because of someone else's actions. Now, had they not committed those actions, they would be intrinsically happy like all the rest.
Right.
And generational curses.
Until society messes it up with promise. Right? So, but I gotta slide off because I gotta go to work in 2 hours and I ain't been asleep. So,
well, I just came from DC.
Dr. Hawk, huh? Oh, you breaking up? Hold on. Hey, Doc, just sit right there, just for a second. You gonna stop?
Right.
Yeah, it'll make it easier for me to edit it. That's all.
All right.
Myself and Dr. Hawk signing off. Y'all be good, be blessed, be safe. Find a way to be at peace. Use your flat tire. Short term, getting past negative things. Dance, act silly, listen to music, phone a friend, go for a jog. All of those things. Use those things if you need to. And yeah, y'all be good. I love y'all. Peace. Take your power back. Holla.